Right. Okay, so what is our next thing we're going to do here?
We're going to
Make sure it's all off the sides.
Okay, yeah, you could clean your edges up. That would help. Margin trowel works pretty good for that. Scraping your forms down to get this excess out of here. Don't necessarily throw that away. You may need that for some patchwork that you have to do, so we can get rid of that. Okay. Next thing, if it was me, I would go back through and edge again. So we're going to hit this, clean this area up a little bit. Okay, it is getting harder. You can feel it. So we're going to edge, clean them edges up. Okay, so we can join again, which I grabbed 2 edgers. That doesn't do me much good. Need a joiner. We can hit this again. You shouldn't need a guide now. It should follow that pretty decent, what you did there before. Now it was troweling. Of course, this is so small, it's really hard to stay off your stuff. You're just going to kind of have to work with it. So you're going to start, same thing, tipping your trowel, and you're filling in, and you can see it's making it a lot smoother. What did they use instead of doing this on something broom finish? Does anybody remember? In the movie. A Fresno? Remember the Fresno?
Yeah, babysitter.
Yeah. That was your babysitter's name?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you ought to have no problem remembering that for the test.
I have a problem every time. Every time you say it, I'll tell you that was my babysitter.
Okay, if something doesn't fill, you're having trouble or it gets too hard, sometimes you got to work back over it with your bigger trowel or your hand derby to get some stuff to fill. If it's not filling, you may need to add a little bit in where it's not filling, and work that in to get everything filled. Now I went over my joint and I kind of covered that up, and then some of my edges also are filling in. So you're going to have to re-hit them, but you're trying to get rid of all them marks, okay? And get it as smooth as you can, not leaving holes. So now after that part's done, you can go back through, but you want to do it real gentle and edge and join again, trying not to dig way in. Hitting that edge. Remember, you don't want to roll that, so you're twisting your concrete and rolling it down on them corners, or edges rather. I got it rolled.
No, went right back to that edge.
Okay, and it's leaving that lip, but you'll have to hit that again. Next time we can be a little more picky with it. So then you're going to hit your joint again. Okay, so now you're to your trowel. Now this time you want to be a little more careful and not fill that in. So you're going to hit these edges and try to smooth that out without wrecking your joint or and you can take your trowel and kind of clean that up too a little bit. Your joint, fill them edges. That's not too awful bad. Okay, so once you have your top pretty clean, your next step, remember you have to finish those edges here. So we're going to have to remove this. Now there's a way to go about this, not saying that it can't damage it. And this is pretty wet, so I got a good chance of damaging this. But you have to take your screws loose. You don't want to pull this straight up, okay? If you do that, it's time to go. In a second. Oh, you got time. Once I do one of these, you'll see how it's done. So all I got to do is one edge. You're going to remove this, your screws, and this is why you want them easy to get at. And like I said, you do not want to strip them for sure. You don't want to lift straight up because you'll peel your concrete or crack a big corner off. You can take these off one at a time if you prefer. I wouldn't jar this around a whole lot because it'll probably have a crack in it if you do. So I got one of these loose once I removed this screw. So you want to separate this, and it kind of suction cups to it. So you got to do it real slow and a little bit at a time and try to pull it straight away from there like that. Now you do usually have a little bit of concrete on here you can use for filler if you need to. So then it's just cleaning that edge up. So you can clean it up, rub on it with whatever it takes to fill this in the best you can and make that look nice and neat. Okay. Sometimes if it's really dry, you have to get a little bit of water and splash up there, very little, but see how loose it is? This is almost too much because we didn't get this mixed right away. And it was wet, so it's a little bit wet right now. So once you've did all your sides like this and cleaned them up the best you can, then it's time for the broom finish. I'm gonna go ahead and broom this so Wade can see it before he has to go. Of course, you'd have all your forms off and you'd have all them edges clean. Okay, you're gonna start here, and this is really wet, so I don't wanna put much pressure down. If it's starting to get hard on you, sometimes you gotta put some pressure. You don't want it real rough, but you want it about this roughness right here. Yep. So you're just gonna lightly take that across there, like that right there. Okay?
Yeah. Slightly cooked. That looks nice.
Yeah, it's kind of leaving some lines that it shouldn't be, but it's really wet. It's before it's time. But you want to get that as even as you can across there. Same thing on this edge here. You're going to broom this and clean this up, okay? Make that a nice broom finish, okay? Just about like that right there. That makes sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Same thing. You got to make sure this stuff gets washed up. You can't be leaving this concrete on there. When you pull your forms off, you're going to make sure you clean them up, okay? Yep, we'll see you.
See you, buddy. Bye, Wade. See you later, Wade. My stomach feels like a bowl of fire.
So, anybody have any questions on this? Can you start working on it now? Yep. On them diddly bows, yep. You haven't got time to start working on this. Yeah, start mixing your concrete when you don't have your form. You can use my form, but I'd probably give you about a 50% on the project because it's not the right size.
I ain't worried about it. Let's do some measuring, boys. Yeah, you guys
Do some measuring. Come on now, you guys showed me on that tape measure reading that you guys could measure, but then all them boards are marked wrong. So who'd you cheat off from? Good enough. Boy, Curtis. Curtis is working on a bad grade for the day, talking like that. You can't talk like that in here. Doesn't it? Yeah, it's freedom of speech. You can talk like that, but I can still give you a 0 for it.
What, speaking freedom of speech?
Yeah. It's all right.
So it's not, we don't have our...
Well, sure it is. You have the choice. You can do it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to give you a 0 for it, though. Still free to say it.
That's like a right fair arms, but I can shoot you if you have it?
Huh?